Thank you so much and welcome from the break. This is the dialogue on Sol TV. My name is Prince Apollo. On the panel, we have Dr. Jeda Dwele-Wansara, a public policy analyst and researcher. We have Richard Baguma, veteran journalist, but also a strong advocate for road safety. We have Dr. Daniel Rugalama, a Pan-Africanist, but also a lawyer, looking at the new traffic guidelines which have attracted public outcry and resentment. Eventually, they were retracted and the policy suspended by the Ministry of Transport. But before the suspension of these new guidelines, the stakeholders and motorists were really concerned about the hefty fines and the lack of sensitization before the new guidelines, the new traffic laws were rolled out or they were enforced. Their enforcement started. And actually, some legal brains had already run to court to challenge these guidelines and the whole process. Others look at the 50% surcharge, and Richard, you'll have much to explain on that. The 50% surcharge, if you do not pay within 72 hours, they think that is really.
Apollo.
Wait a minute.
Apollo, you are right. You are right.
Wait a minute. They say.
I don't want you to labor that. You are right.
This is more of a revenue collection tool than an enforcement mechanism.
No, on that one you are wrong. Where you may be right is that, okay, the surcharge can be 20
in
or 15,
72 hours.
Can be in 28 days. That's why I'm saying you can have those adjustments. Even when we have those, we shall have massively one.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm telling you. But the first point is, why are you overspeeding?
Okay.
Why are you killing our people? The greatest killer on our roads is overspeeding. Why are you murdering our citizens?
Thank you. The debate now has also revived another discussion and queries on the contractor behind the ITMS, the what is called intelligent transport management system, that the Russian firm. The discussion also speaks about the inadequacies in this whole system. For instance, people are saying in some cases, the traffic policeman stops you or tells you to go through the red lights. And then how?
That's not true.
Then how then will the system capture that?
That is not true.
Wait a minute.
Apollo, the system has a camera. It is watching the police action. Really? At that point, they don't give you a ticket. That's a lie.
Okay. Wait a minute. That's what I'm coming to. They also say,
I have driven through the lights when the police is doing like that.
They also say,
and even you.
Yes, they also say
the system. There are many lies that have been peddled.
They also say the system is manned also by individuals, manually manned by. It's not automated entirely. They say that some people in the control tower, it's at their discretion to decide who to give penalties. That's what they also say.
So that's what I'm telling you, Apollo. You see, can I say this
Please
again?
Do.
Can I say this again?
Do.
I have never come across a system anywhere in the world that is perfect, including the body system.
Okay.
I have never come across it. None says this is a perfect system. But we are saying that there are so many lies being told about it.
But you also agree there are many inadequacies in implementation.
Not many.
And
there
challenges.
are some inadequacies in implementation.
Okay, let me hear from Doctor, because he had the floor. Please continue with the submission. But I will also want you to address yourself to the concerns of fines, exorbitant fines, and speed limits, which they say are unrealistic.
One, first before I go to that, there is a legal issue that you raised from the a challenge that the lawyers have taken up, saying that some fines were not gazetted. I'm not sure
Like
about
the 50% surcharge.
Yes, but that one is an implementation issue that can be revised.
Okay.
Because you see, there are things that are legal, then there are things that are administrative. Now, I think the biggest challenge that we are having are issues that are administrative. But we agree that we all have this problem that we need to confront as a country. Yes, the problem is there. Has it been adequately addressed before? No, it was not there, because the manual system was instead enriching traffic police officers. That instead of you paying the fine, or you would find like our friends who have just crashed me this morning, crashed my car this morning, the taxi guys, someone is carrying tickets of 4 million. He has never paid any. Each of them is 200,000. So how do you manage such human beings? Probably when the value of the fine is more than the value of the car, probably police can auction and recover the money, but you will send a message to another person not to do so. This system is very good. We have a category of people here who are very full of impunity. The border guys. When people are taking right, the left, they take right.
Including people, including big people who drive red number plates.
Yeah, of course. Now you saw I saw a circular released from Ministry of Works to all government agencies, and then telling them to assign one individual in every agency who will be in charge of those fines, because they are not stopping at us. They only advise that the other in the ministries probably ask the taxpayer may pay those fines again.
Yeah, but you have,
if
you have somebody, you have somebody in the control tower who has discretion to decide who to give fines and who not to give.
Yes, I have heard that. That is why I mentioned the issue of accuracy. That a good system, such a good intelligent traffic management system, should be accurate.
Yes.
Can we examine using this period that General Katumba Wamala has given us to see if it is true? If it is true, then we need to correct Sayad. There is accuracy. Sayad, in the same point, people don't get the different. Then the other is, of course, the opportunities for appeal. Is there somewhere, if you were wrongly, you were wrongly charged, where you can go for redress? The other, of course, is that should be fair. Not that where you are supposed to pay 200,000, you are being charged 600,000. Now, those are administrative things that as stakeholders, we are going to sit together. We acknowledge the EOK, especially when you are rolling out a new system. But what I also want to tell Ugandans that I think it's not time we should mix the contract of with the global security of the number plates with the fines. Yes, they say they will be paid through fines. But again, it has nothing to do with the enforcement. There's no way the contract is directly linked to enforcement. So we have to discuss this case by case. But I'm happy. You see, when this contract was signed,
so the people who are saying, wait a minute,
Ugandans were not talking.
Wait a minute,
this is
doctor.
Part of entering the monetary.
Doctor,
monetization of the economy.
Let's make a clarification on this. Are you saying the people who have been claiming that the contractor, the Russian firm, is the one who is taking Uganda the money, 80% of the fines collected, is wrong?
No.
It's a wrong claim.
I want to categorically state that that contract, which shows that the Russian company is taking 80 and the government of Uganda 20, it is true. It is correct.
So why do you want?
But how different? How different is that?
Yes.
From the expressway, the Entebbe expressway? How come there's no uproar?
No,
it is the same percentages. So
there are queries on the contractor first.
Yeah. So the anger directed, and I think that's what he's saying. The anger directed towards the contractor is a diversion. The point here on this problem is you are killing our people on the roads and you pay for it. These other things are
diversion.
Yes. You
can conclude, but you have not addressed yourself the issue of speed limit. Please.
No, the issue of is a speed limit. I agreed and said that in in areas around here, schools, churches, places like Lugogo bypass, where you have businesses going on this and this side. Where you it's a short distance from Ginger Road to Kira Road. Why are you running at 100 kilometers? But why do you want 100 kilometers?
No, they are not asking for 100 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, but
they are saying the 30 kilometers per hour is automatically someone is driving at a snail speed.
So what are they asking for?
Maybe there are two things that I would like to that maybe we need to have on our roads, like some countries, like a speed limit, cameras ahead. Okay, then people can know that signage. That's what, so that you don't just bump into something. The way our traffic officers have been doing, they hide. They hide in a corner with a speed gun
to arrest.
Then that you bump into them, then they arrest you and you negotiate. That is what has been happening on the roads. So if the signage is very important, so that we move away from simply collecting money or the objective being revenue to road safety. Because once the issue of revenue overlaps the road safety objective, then it loses meaning.
Okay, thank you so much. We will come back to Dr. Wedre, but I still insist. I still insist. There wasn't adequate sensitization, especially to our taxi drivers in this city, for instance. On Entebbe Road, they were saying, because from the traffic guidelines, the Entebbe Road is 70, I think 70 kilometers per hour. But whenever you reach like these urban centers along the road, Zana, Namasuba, Baita Babiri, then you have to slow down to 30.
That's the law.
Yes, that is the law. But were they adequate sensitized about that?
Let me mention something, Richard,
really?
because you have over-centered on it. And my colleague is here. We discussed the issue of sensitization, and I want to tell you that in the Uganda Road Safety Advocacy Coalition, we have representatives of truck drivers, representatives of border borders. We advocated for increase in budget for road safety, and we must thank the government that at some point it was increased. I think from about 900 million to
about 5 billion.
About 5 billion. Now again, the challenge came to do with what we collect in terms of revenue. This money eventually was not released. But one of the strategies that we had was to ensure that we work with, truck drivers associations. This was to sensitize the public about these laws, and we take it very, very important. Maybe through this Ministry of Works can now work with us, maybe with the development partners, to see how we can use all of these networks that we have within the coalition to sensitize people. It is important that people are sensitized, because the laws are not made for police and for government itself, because they affect the people, and therefore people should be adequately sensitized about
that. Is why some people are saying this was more of a revenue collection tool than an enforcement mechanism. Dr. Rugarama.
Okay, thank you so much.
By the way, Dr. Rugarama also drives.
Yeah.
It is good that you have allowed these two gentlemen.
Yeah, they are road safety
a little bit of
enthusiasts.
And I liked it because they are the ones who should be facing the heat and explaining to the people. I wasn't there in that. Although I would have loved also to participate in,
we are going to invite you
in formulating such a policy.
We are inviting you in the review.
Thank you so much. There are just a few things I want to elaborate on. One, the population out there is not necessarily against the fines per se if they were seeing what those fines actually go to do. The problem is that we are already in a society which is polarized, a society which is highly corrupted. Because of high levels of corruption, where my NRM has not succeeded very well in combating, they look at this Russian company which has taken on the contract And indeed, like you correctly observed, hastily introduced these fines, if you like, because there was, I remember, about a month or so ago, announcements on radio that police has introduced something in collaboration with Ministry of Works, and then the gentleman on phone is introducing fines. You ran on pavement, you overtook, etc. It ran for something like a month, if my memory serves me right. But because the population is infuriated with the fact that there has been corruption, and this is a Russian company, and they are talking about 80% going to the Russian company, the whole thing, the point is lost in that. However, I want to come back and thank Comrade Baguma and Dr. Wanzara here for a well job done. The only thing I advise them to do is that in that review which they are talking about, we need to do what we call proper packaging. You may have a very beautiful idea. Like, this is a very beautiful idea. If you brought the people, do you know that we have got companies, transport companies, that have been eliminated from the business simply because of recklessness on the road? I remember there was a transport company from West Nile. What is this bus company? And because of not servicing their buses, driving recklessly, they are now completely off the road. Not that they had a loan and the banks came and recovered. There are many bus companies which used to do the Fort Patrol, the ones doing the Mbarara routes, they are no longer there. Partly because if you investigate backwards, overdriving, overspeeding, and at the same time, lack of servicing of their vehicles. And the people, the lives we have lost on our roads is quite unacceptable. I had an opportunity to drive all the way from Kampala up to Bujumbura. I observed, and I think Dr. Wanzara talked about it here, I observed when we reached this part of, I went through Miramba Hills.
Of Rwanda.
With my young brother, who happened to be the first secretary of Burundi, Ugandan embassy to Burundi. And when we reached the part of Rwanda, seatbelt
on,
observe speed, and you can imagine, but at the same time, the road network.
Exactly.
Very clear.
Very clear.
The discipline of the pedestrians and other road users. Therefore, having the law in place is not the problem. Even implementing it is not the problem. But you, as the implementer, the government, how are you seen by the people with whom you want certain things to be done? Exactly. Is the most important thing. I want to, in a way, conclude by saying that any resolution, any laws to do with controlling and enforcing discipline on our roads, I support. The only thing I would want us to do is to ensure, because say there is no any government, to imagine that there are people who are government and for us, we are the ones who are being victimized. No, we are all government. Whether you support NRM, whether you do what, you are being affected by what is obtaining in the country.
No, there are people in government and people outside the government.
That thing is not there. You see, at the end of the day, all of us are being affected by what is obtaining in this country. And the truth of the matter is that we must collectively carry out certain things for the good of the entire community. The law, and you see another thing also, the General Katumba Wamala, the Minister of Transport and Works, certain things when they happen from certain people, we get many questions. We are not used to General Katumba way of doing things, raising controversy. When this one came, people are like, ati ne Katumba na ye? In other words,
mu kintu kino mwali
is he also part of the steering? How could he allow the Russian? How could these guys take 80%? And this thing, my brother Baguma was saying, how come the northern bypass has not attracted the kind of...
There was some bit of, I mean, the
not only that,
yeah,
if they were saying, if for instance, northern bypass, expressway,
Entebbe.
if they were charging, say, for instance, 20,000 for us to pass there, I can assure you would have made
Yes.
noise. But 5,000
is reasonable.
something is reasonable. Anybody who is going to the
But
airport,
you violate speed limit 200,000. I had a taxi driver on Entebbe Road who said that from Entebbe to Kampala and going back, he had accrued penalties close to
that's what
2 million.
That's what I want to come to as I conclude
in one
this.
day.
What if it is
He
true?
should just be in prison, not paying fines. No, should just be in prison. He's breaking every law.
Comrade Baguma and Dr. Wanza, this is what is coming because we have our ears on the ground. If indeed it is true, because a gentleman shared with me, some friend of mine from Makerere University, shared with me a receipt. His receipt, I hope it was not generated from NASA.
Yeah.
And it was indicating, because that is also possible.
Yeah.
You know, we have got a society which is very interesting. But that gentleman, at least, is not the type. He said, look, for me, I have got a receipt that I was not wearing a helmet, yet the vehicle, this is a vehicle now. I wonder how, and this is what I was telling you when in my opening remarks, and you were like, hey, helmet in a vehicle. How does that come about? Now, if that is
on social media.
Yes, if that is true, I want to believe it is not true.
It is not.
But if that is true, then another one was like, you see, on I have accumulated more than 3 receipts or amounting to 1.4 million in one day. I was reported that was great indiscipline because you have been breaking the rules all the way. I think for me, in a way of concluding on this, I want to say that there is great need for us to harmonize this position because indeed, you will find that the laws have been existing. And because we have not been educated in these laws, and now the implementation seems to be very abrupt, there is a tendency of resisting the unknown, the new things.
Thank you.
But let me just simply restate my position that I support any measures put in place by the leadership to contain the carnage on our roads, to implement discipline. All we need to do is that we should do it harmoniously. We should do it in a manner that the people will appreciate that this is in the best interest of themselves.
Thank you. Thank you. Comrade Rugarama is a lawyer, but also a staunch Pan-Africanist. Let me implore our viewers to also contribute. Send in your comments and observations on 0701 609906. My producer, please, if you can, share that number on the screen. Let's have feedback on what the viewers are talking about these penalties, the surcharge of 50% surcharge on delayed payments of penalties. And there is an issue I think, Baguma, you must address too. The issue of the infrastructure, not only here, but majorly here in Kampala. The roads are very narrow. The roads are congested with many borders. But they are full of potholes.
There are more potholes than the roads.
Yes, and we insist that they should also, again, I mean, you impose this guide. Because like Rugarama said, when he crossed to Rwanda, yes, the laws were so strict, but the infrastructure was what? Was perfect. There, was perfect. And some people are even saying that in some areas like like Northern Bypass, where there is a lot of criminality at night, especially. The road does not have those street lights. There is darkness in some areas, but then you enforce a speed limit that can actually endanger
What is the
lives.
speed
Wait a
limit?
minute, they endanger
What is the speed limit
the
there?
lives of that's what they claim.
That's not
That it is 50 kilometers per hour.
70.
70.
So how is that slow?
That it somehow endangers the lives of the
70.
motorists.
70.
Anyway, that the criminals can take advantage.
I can talk
those
about
speeds.
infrastructure,
Please.
of course, criminality. You see, Apollo, the criminals are not on the Northern Bypass because of speed limit. I spoke the other day here. It's just that we forget, maybe, or the viewers change. I said, how do you fail to maintain security between Bweyogerere and Nated? How? I want you to think, I don't know if you have driven there,
Yeah.
how many units, we no longer have LDU, but the military, paramilitary, whatever you call it, units are along that road. How many police stations are along that road? You have a police station. If you leave the roundabout of Naria, coming to the roundabout of Chisas, you have a police station at that in the middle there. At the roundabout of Chisas, you have a police station there.
But criminals
So the problem is not
are
speed limit.
loitering.
Yes, so the problem is not
along
speed
that road,
limit.
with the bricks.
So the problem is not speed limit. So that's why I tell you that I can understand the anger that people have and the mixture. So the way they mix. So you see, the anger is expressed in every little thing every little mistake. The people will express their anger, they will explode. But the anger is not. So this failure of the security agencies to control criminality, which should really be easy, we need to tackle it. But when you are driving at 70, so you see also the largest number of tickets, by the way, this is where the largest number of tickets on that road are not at night. No, they are during the day. So we really have to be very careful. The infrastructure. So Apollo, if you have a road that has potholes and heavy traffic, how can you drive at that, above that?
No, they are saying.
How will you be able?
The argument.
So I am
wait
relating that. No, I am relating that
Yeah, okay.
to what Ruganama said and what you said. That therefore the anger is not on the speed limit because the road already has major potholes and congestion. So you can't drive above 30 anyway, even if you want it.
What they are saying.
So the anger
A minute. What
is
they are
that
saying-
the
what they
even
are
before
saying-
the fines,
What they are saying.
the government is supposed to do roads.
That perhaps the time now you spend in these potholes and traffic jam with borders swarming around you, that when you get to that stretch, like useful way, that stretch of road, then you compensate that time. That's what I imagine.
Okay.
Yeah, they are claiming.
For me, what I take,
you compensate for the
for
time.
me, what I take is that this one, which is trying to bring discipline on the road, is being looked at in the same view that you are not repairing our roads, you are stealing money from our roads, you are what? So anyway, you have no right to collect any more from us.
Oh.
Yes. So that for me, I see is the attitude that comes to this. It's not that you have, this is wrong. It's like your previous conduct is terrible, so you are a bad man anyway.
Oh.
But
So
maybe Apollo, just,
Okay.
Baguma, just in 1 second,
Please.
really. The truth be told, the amount of indiscipline that we have exhibited for many years, particularly on roads in Kampala, speaks volumes. The other truth is, if our sample is 100, the said drivers who drive, be it private vehicles or public vehicles, I want to assure you, from what has been observed, less than 40% are supposed to be driving on these roads.
Wow.
And therefore, if the Bagumas package their policy, their regulations properly, I can assure you it is very welcome.
Thank you. Dr. Aweri, speak about the infrastructure, because the concern is that the roads are very narrow, they are not in good condition, And then you impose strict regulations on motorists who I mean, and it turns out possibly the policy, good as it is, it's unwelcome.
In Kampala, we don't have roads.
I think I want to, for the benefit of the listeners, so the viewers, I want to tell you that we cannot address road safety issues in a piecemeal, you know, because road safety is a bit broad.
Yeah.
And yet we must address all these things comprehensively, step by step. Let's look at the aspect of the safe systems approach to road safety. We have what we call safe roads. Safe roads, you are having the infrastructure is included there. You are having the safe vehicles, you know. So you are having the behavior issues on the road. So in this system, is it trying to address those issues? You know, because if you put you widen Nakawa, then you put traffic lights, you say you make it a bit wide, and then you can see. Then you enforce, the belts. You see, all of these are trying to feed into issues of road safety. You have issues with the safe people. How do we sit in the car? How do we behave? Where do we put children? Do we have child restraints? So for me, I believe that as Ugandans, we need to appreciate this, that we need to save these 5,000 lives that we lose every year. We need to stop this carnage of over 25,000 crashes. We need to stop all these people who are disabled and the loss to the GDP. But also, what I would like to ask government is that when we are bringing good initiatives like this, let's not taint them and dress them with ugly veils. Like now, when we are telling people this is good for us, people point to the contract.
The Russians.
It's better we explain to the citizens of this country that, well, these Russians have come. What are they investing in? Because they are already reaping from number plates. Okay, the price of number plates has shot up. Many people propose that let's partner with Wavamuno's company
something
in line with Wavamuno's company, in line with Build Uganda, Buy Uganda, such that not all the profits that are picked here are taken away from our economy. We did not do this. So I think Ugandans are right to get angry, but I appeal that we separate the issue of the contracts from the issue of road safety, so that we can have the two discussed.
But there is something in there what Dr. Wanzara has said, and probably as we move forward, let's ponder on it. When the president was concluding his speech about these fines, he said our purpose of bringing this, introducing this system here was to make sure that we improve security.
The issue of fines is rubbish.
The issue of fines and what have you
is rubbish.
Corrected. Thank you so much. He used the
That's
word
what he said.
is rubbish. Secondly, that is
I agree
his
with
word.
you.
So I want us to as we move forward, I want us to concern ourselves also with that statement. Then two, also, this is not a one-man show. The Minister of Internal Affairs, General Kahindu Tafire, talked about this particular thing.
Himself
and he said, appearing before the committee, that I know no company, I was never consulted by anybody. The only thing when they were bringing it here is that I came to know about it when Wavamuno wrote to me complaining. I wrote a letter to the president.
The president did not
and
respond.
I want to believe the president didn't even look at this letter. It was not given to you. Can imagine General Kahindu Tafire writing to the president and the letter is hidden. Or whatever happened to it, we don't know anyway. Now, when you look at that level, if we have got that kind of mistrust, do you blame the population?
So the Bagumas
Yes.
are introducing a good thing, but
Yes.
packaged in a dirty way.
No, the packaging is the
In
most
that
important now. Otherwise, you cannot fault Baguma and the group from bringing. In fact, I want to closer associate myself with their agenda. But we must have the vision, we must have the openness of the mind to make sure that everybody is on board.
Thank
if
you.
at the level of General Kahindo Tafire, he says, I know nothing about this thing,
Okay.
how is the public
Can I read one
react?
message, then I come back to you?
Only
let me
one?
read. Let me read. Okay, I'll read 3.
We did that feedback.
We need the feedback.
Let me read the messages from our viewers out there, and you can continue sending in your comments and observations on this important matter of road safety. Good morning, Apollo and the panel. For me, I entirely agree with Mr. Baguma. This pretense of Ugandans and the politicking of every policy is the problem. Last week, I used public means from Kampala to Entebbe, and I used the Entebbe Express Highway. But you will realize that they go beyond 100 speed limits, and the drivers are aware. However, my inquiry is that how is it possible that one vehicle can be charged more than twice a day? But we should respect the traffic if we don't want to be penalized. I am Abel Keru Akampumuza. Thank you so much, Abel Keru. And Abel is one ardent viewer here at
He's
the
one
Dialogue.
ardent and vocal viewer. There are many ardent who don't talk.
We will at one time appreciate our viewers, such ardent viewers. Thanks for the show. The gentlemen are dodging the issue of driving 30 kilometers from Jinja Road to Chira Road. Hey, Jinja Road to Chira Road. Mark that one. And he says if any of them drive that road, that speed is not practical. That's what he says.
That is what is going to be chewed in the review.
In the review.
Yes.
But were consultations really done? Adequate consultations before this? I think this also speaks of how government policies are rolled out without prior consultations and sensitization.
Sometimes it's a bit of arrogance from some of our planners. You see, the amount of bravado, just stamping.
Yeah,
I
because
can get through
you launch an initiative like important as it is, then the public reacts in the way it reacted. Luckily, I saw the person from the ministry appreciating the stakeholders for not rioting or what. But people can riot and things can.
Yeah, it will be bad. Preparation can never be taken for granted.
Dear people, if it is scam, people write value-added tax scam. You remember?
You asked me to.
Hey, Mavera came also. Mavera came. Didn't we save Mavera? When the riot, Mavera.
Did you? Have you been to
People
Mavera?
died.
Hey, but is it official? The other time
Okay,
it was
okay.
People died.
It's not official.
People died in
Those
the
are thieves,
Mavera riot.
Have you been to Mavera though? And the leader of the group is where? Leave me alone for me.
Good morning, Apollo and team. I want to comment on the president's so-called brown envelopes. I want to partially agree with Baguma that problem is with planning, budgeting, and appropriation. Now I want to ask, if the president has been given this money for donations and he has no guidelines on how to spend it, how then do we want him to spend it? Take it to his farm in Rwachitula. This is Reverend Jimmy Manyindo in Fort Porto. Thank you so much. Henry Baguma in Nakawa, he says, let government enforce all regulations
Henry is our ardent viewer. He
to
tells
save
me.
us from death. You heard him. And
Henry, yeah, he's a journalist too.
he thanks the panel and Mbalamusiza Nzerega pro Uganda si birungi eno. I don't know what he actually refers to. Prince Apollo, once again, I want to agree with Richard. The issue about speed limits is not new. All of us who drive know it, and we know that there is a penalty for breach of the law. The purpose of every penalty is punitive, i.e., to deter you from repeating the same offense and also be an example to other people who are likely to commit the same offense. To me, I think the offenders should be punished and severely. Jimmy Manyindo, Reverend Jimmy Manyindo in Fort Porto again sent that message. I will now take it back to the panelists as I wait for a final batch of the comments. We only have 10 minutes to close the show. Did you have anything Oh, it is.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to a message there.
Please.
Someone was asking whether it is practical to drive at
Jinja Road and Chira.
Chira, that is Lugogo bypass. But I want to tell the viewer that between Chira Road Police and that place, we have about 3 traffic lights. Okay? So your speed, you know that even if you run at 100 kilometers per hour, for a very short distance, you find traffic light showing you Naguru. Then you have again a very short distance to show Praria. Do you need to go above 30? I don't understand. Unless we are just obsessed with the speed. So, but the other I wanted to conclude with is that
Please conclude.
I wanted to agree with my colleague Dr. Rugarama about Uganda. Ugandans need to begin to learn to question, and we appreciate, by the way, when they respond this way, because then you have an opportunity to explain. But also, people need to begin paying keen attention to contracts that government engages in, because government does these things on our behalf, not on behalf of a few individuals. Like, if you need to question if roads are being worked on to facilitate this system, who is paying for it? As far as I'm concerned, it is the government of Uganda that is paying through loans and grants from the World Bank. If you look at the traffic traffic lights, which have been installed all over with the government, I see it is JICA, Japanese International Development Corporation, support in collaboration with the government of Uganda. So I think Ugandans are right to question that. If you were getting money from them and then you give 80% to these Russians, what have they put in when they are already selling the number plates to us and they are only adding a chip while taking advantage of the entire system of which we procured, because the Ugandan taxpayer procured all police cameras everywhere in this country. So is there value for money? These are questions that are valid, and if we want to take our country a step forward, I think we are right to ask them.
So that is perhaps that's the reason why some people think this is a scam. Some people actually are saying this is a scam to rip off Ugandans' savings and meager savings.
Yeah, Baguma should be the
okay. You can conclude with your final remarks.
One, let's me begin with what you have just said. Ugandans have been cheated before, and they have been cheated a number of times through very bogus contracts, like we had Umeme.
Oh.
Yes, the Umeme, this one which has just lapsed. When you look at the unit cost that we used to consume, it was the most expensive the entire African continent. Therefore, when the Ugandans are raising red flags against some of these things, it's not because they are very complicated people. It's because they have been beaten before and they are very conscious. That is one. Two, it is high time we developed a high sense of discipline in as far as running this country is concerned. This is our country, and we don't have any other country. We must make it better.
Thank you.
If, for instance, driving safely and in a disciplined manner on our roads is going to make us proud of our country, let's embrace it. But finally, what we need to do in as far as these rules and regulations are concerned, we need to make a review, because there are some gray areas which we must put right, and we shall be good.
I don't know if it is possible to respond for the government to respond to all the concerns. Okay, in this short time of 1 month, I don't know, because for instance, is it okay? You tell me in this month. Address the issue of, for instance, to me, I think even the roads in Kampala, where you drive from here to there and then you find the road blocked, they are working on it. You don't have to turn around. And then,
there are social costs. There are usually social costs when we are making major improvements.
Like, for instance, signs on every.
Oh yes, that's the other discipline. That's the other, because you see, majority of our Ugandans do things in a very arrogant manner, because they are not accountable to anybody.
Richard, your concluding remarks.
So First of all, it is very empowering to get this kind of attention, even when it is controversial. For me, it is very empowering. And it is unfortunate that it only comes after implementation. I hope all the appeals, like one of the organizations I saw there quarreling, we invited them to our meetings. They never come. So let it bite them. Now they can come. They can come with placards and make noise, but let it bite them. So that next time when we say come, they will respond. So that's one. That's this for me. Despite it being controversial, it's very important. Two is that you learn a lot. Yeah, so these comments and this has been going to. The third thing is that this is under review.
Okay.
How, even if for me you increase the number of days, which I would wish to happen, when you should pay fines, and you reduce the fines, I want them to still remain punitive, because that is the role.
You don't want the fines to be at least revised and downwards.
Okay. Now, I don't want you to hear me, I want you to listen to me, and the viewers too. That these are being reviewed. They will most likely be reduced.
You want them to remain punitive.
But even if they are reduced, they are going to be meaningless if they are not punitive.
I don't know what
that is for sure.
What punitive
yes, somebody
what
must
you
feel,
mean about
somebody must feel the pain so that they can respond. Otherwise, we are not. We have a saying in legal implementation that laws without enforcement is like playing a flute to a dog. A dog. It will not. So that's very important. The other one, Apollo, I think people should be able to appreciate that the people at works and elsewhere, when there was an uproar, they quickly responded.
Yeah, that's,
I think
that's positive.
This should be appreciated. Finally, for me, Apple, is we need to educate people. Particularly that there are three things. There is a project about intelligent transport monitoring, and that is a security point under the ministry for security. That the Ministry of Works has taken advantage of that infrastructure, not to buy new infrastructure, to do additional things. But however, there is another monitoring system, which for me, I think, is even more invasive. There is another highway project. The most important thing, Apollo, is that there should be transparency.
But do they also, does this system also penalize borders?
The borders should actually go away.
Yes, they are the ones actually who do most of the violations.
I'm happy you have talked about borders.
So I saw a report from KCCA that the fatalities in hospitals, 50% are from borders.
Even
in mortuaries,
only
50%.
But I'm part of that.
So I am asking,
developing that report.
I'm asking.
So I am explaining to you the background that this one was in the law already. What the Ministry of Works only has taken was to take advantage of the security equipment already existing. That what it should be, in whatever, even if the security system, even if the other more invasive, in my view, system, which people don't talk about, probably they don't know, and this one, it should be transparent. There should be transparency, which is not there in many government systems. Even if it were under General Tafide, there is no...
The enforcement on borders will come later.
For me, actually what is happening is that it is also being piloted. It is just that for it is more highly politically controversial.
And as we conclude, gentlemen, as we conclude, I look as if the emphasis is on Kampala Metropolitan.
It has more than 60% of the traffic in this country.
Fatalities?
It has, first wait, it has more than 60% of all the traffic in this country. It therefore has the highest fatalities. The reports, you talked about the report.
Yes.
That report contains those things.
That's what I wanted to hear from you.
So if you deal with the city, and all of you come from the city and go, once we deal with the city, you guys will be done.
Thank you so much, our viewers. And I had a message here. Producer, just 1 second. Let me read it out. Thank you for the show. Good morning. And he says, now these fines are tagged on vehicles. How will they be tagged on errant drivers who will shift from the vehicles to vehicles? Solomon Afarel, that was another concern, that somebody, the vehicle, the owner of the vehicle is the one who suffers
How you
the
enforce the
penalties.
rules?
That is
But
the
who is
dilemma.
When
who is
actually
driving
it
your
should be
vehicle?
the driver.
So who is driving your vehicle?
Who should be
If you are not
penalized
able to
for the
discipline
wrongs.
your driver, so what should you do with
No,
him?
I'm a
majority
bus
of the
owner,
vehicle
if I-
owners, maybe on the
No.
majority
Another
of the
concern,
vehicles,
Richard, another concern was that even the vehicles, the system is not tagged on the revenue system to track the vehicles which are registered and then transferred to another people.
No, people don't transfer.
Where you get-
No, people don't transfer vehicles. And by the way, in the law, that is also punishable by law. So you have two offenses.
Okay.
That you did not transfer.
Thanks, Apollo. For me, I
that's
see.
also provided for in the law.
I see is what I see is the concerned body for traffic put laws to test road users see the outcomes because they analyze after reaction of road users. I think he says it is good that now they have received some response from the public. Now they can do better and enforce these guidelines. My name is Prince Apollo. I don't even have time to go around, but I thank Comrade Richard Ndugu, thank you. Comrade Rugarama, thank you. And Dr. Wirihe, thank you. My production team, thank you so much. Until next Saturday. The comments, we thank you for the comments. Until next time, God bless you, Uganda.